our keys player playing for the first time with us this morning.
I hope you're not tired of hearing about this, but I have to say something before I start because it keeps being in the back of my mind. And that's when that tower went over last night, I was on the bottom, underneath it. Next to my friend Slackjaw, who built it, with all the stuff and all the people on top of us. And I was just sure somebody was dead. But they weren't. And I got a scratch right here. And so, whatever I have to say today is in that context. And when we sang, "Even When I Fall," our 20 friends that fell with us, we're just so blessed. And our prayers go out to our sister who's in the hospital in Reno. She's going to be better. My friend Trevor, who first brought me to Burning Man. I've got a few stitches. But we're okay.
Amen.
Woo. There's a mountain way out in western Tibet called Mount Kailash. It's a 5 or 6 day jeep ride from Lhasa over roads that look something like the roads on the playa. We always said that calling it a road means someone has driven there before. But if you don't want to take the 5 or 6 day jeep ride, there are some people who walk from Lhasa, doing a full prostration with every step. And it takes them, instead of 5 or 6 days, 5 or 6 years. And when you get there, you don't climb the mountain. It's too holy for that. People in Tibet would not be that disrespectful. You circumambulate, you walk around, saying a mantra or a prayer with each step. And in doing so, you join pilgrims from 4 different religions. The Hindus, mostly from India, and the Jains, the Tibetan Buddhists, and the indigenous Bonpo people from Tibet. And what they've been doing, they've been doing that for hundreds, even thousands of years, walking around the holy mountain. Now, a really fit Tibetan can walk around Mount Kailash in about 30 hours straight, including one 8,000-foot pass. For this somewhat out-of-shape mendicant Methodist takes 3 days with a lot of rest breaks. Now, I tell you this story because it feels so familiar. People at Mount Kailash, way out there, are from all different religions, all different kinds of faiths, all different kinds of languages that don't understand each other, and yet they greet each other as brothers and sisters, share their meager food supplies, offer a helping hand over a difficult part of the trail. We do this, no matter how differently we conceive our spiritual perspectives and practices, because we know that we are fellow travelers on a difficult path, a path of self-transformation. We need all the help we can get, and we get by with a little help from our friends. One of the biggest reasons we need help from our friends is so we can dare to take some risks on our spiritual path. We need to be free to make fools of ourselves. And those of you who are familiar with the New Testament may have remembered that about the Apostle Paul, who said he was a big rule enforcer before he had some kind of vision that knocked him down on the road to Damascus. And he was not the sort of guy we'd like to have for a campmate. But having gone through some radical transformation, he said a few things, just a few, that might help us. He said this: "Do not deceive yourselves. If you think you are wise in this age, you should become fools so that you may become wise." In another place he said, this was after his conversion, "We are fools for Christ." Just like we all need a little foolishness in our transformation. A number of years ago, when I was a pastor of a church in Berkeley, I had a woman in the congregation who specialized in fabric art as well as helping with the services. And one Sunday I told her I intended to preach a sermon on this text. We are fools for Christ. And on Sunday morning she showed up with a vestment for me to wear, which I think I should always wear as an antidote to the danger of thinking I'm going to say something wise. So I brought it here. That feels better. A few weeks ago, I caught myself worrying that some of the music Maddie had chosen was a little too difficult for us to learn in such a short time. I was wrong. Not because we got it perfectly, but because taking risks is what this is all about. Taking risks so we act boldly on the path of transformation. We risk falling and gathering around to catch each other when we fall. There are some incredible people in this choir who have stepped up to sing solos. They took big risks, and I'm so admiring of them. That's so powerful. If we come to Burning Man to do just what we've always known how to do, there's no rite of passage, there's no transformation. The great thing about the Black Rock Desert, however, is that it's a blank slate. It's not made up for us in advance. It's a slate on which we're invited to create something new. A man, a temple, and much of the art that is burned each year to make space for something else next year. Can you imagine if the man were cast in bronze and the temple were made of marble? It would be over. Burning Man would be over. Same with our lives. You know the poet Rumi, Sufi, Muslim. He says, "I've said it before that every craftsman searches for what is not there. To practice his craft, a builder looks for the rotten hole where the roof caved in. A water carrier picks the empty pot. A carpenter stops at the house with no door. Workers rush toward some hint of emptiness, which they start to fill. Their hope, though, is for emptiness, so don't think you must avoid it. It contains what you need. We all suffer from the temptation, I know I do, to get our lives together, to get things nailed down and closed up. It's for the open spaces, the empty playa, that makes room for some other passage, some new place in our lives. We have to leave a space for the Spirit to surprise us. We also have to be willing to set out not knowing where we're going. You know, in the Old Testament, they talk Abraham set out from his home in Haran, not knowing where he's going, but knowing that he was going to be led to some promised land. Most of us came here this morning on bicycles. How did you learn to ride a bike? You know there's a scientific formula for riding a bike. Did you know that? Listen carefully. In order to compensate for the given angle of imbalance A, we must take a curve on the side of the imbalance, of which the radius r should be proportionate to the square of the velocity over the imbalance. In other words, r equals v squared over a. That's how you ride a bicycle. Of course, none of us can ride a bicycle using that formula. The way you learn to ride a bicycle is by getting on it and starting out with your mom or dad or some adult running along beside until they run out of breath and let you go. And you look back and you see that they're not there, and sometimes you crash and eventually you go on. It's that way with transformation. It's that way with rites of passage. They let you go and help pick you up when you fall. That's what we're all here for each other. There's one more part to this business of transformation, and that's that we have to go home tomorrow.
What?
I thought there'd be more than one. We don't live here. We have to take all the transformations we experienced and all these and pack them up and pack them out with our dusty gear and take it back to the other 51 weeks of the year, wherever we live. And that's a little scary, but that's how it works. Now, if I had a root guru in Tibetan Buddhism, which I almost do, it would be Pema Chodron, because she always wakes me up to something new, and she says this about our process of going home tomorrow. I want to share this. This is Pema Chodron speaking. She says, spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of the mountain. We leave our attachments and our worldliness behind, and slowly we make our way to the top. And at the peak we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor is that we leave all others behind. Their suffering continues, unrelieved by our personal escape. On the journey of the warrior bodhisattva, the path goes down, not up. As if the mountain pointed down toward the earth instead of the sky. Instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we explore the reality and unpredictability of insecurity and pain, and we let it be as it is. And at our own pace, without speed or aggression, we move down and down and down. And with us move millions of others, our companions in awakening from fear. So, what we need to deal with is this fear in this community. What we need are some friends that we can get through it with. I can't urge you strongly enough to find some community that supports the changes you felt here. Make it up if you have to. Find a mosque, a synagogue, a church, a sangha, a temple, a support group, a 12-step group, some kind of community. Make it up if you have to support the change when you go home tomorrow. We truly get by with a little help from our friends. And if you really look, you're going to find them. Life is full of miracles. Amen.
Once again I find myself wasting my precious time, wondering how I'm gonna make it through. You surely have a funny way of helping me when I need you most. Ain't never been a day when you let me down.
You wanna join us next year? Put your hands on me.